Chris Taylor, President and CEO of Great Bear, and I'm here in the Great Bear Core Shack with Rick Greenwood, who's our senior geologist here on site. And it's Red Lake, it's a beautiful day here, and I thought maybe I'd ask Rick a few questions about how he feels about the project and how things have been going. Probably seen just about every meter of drill core that we've produced so far at Great Bear, right?
Yeah, just about every hole that we've drilled since 2018, including all the historic holes that we've gone through, even that were down in the field and available to us. Yeah, so I've pretty much seen a lot of rock.
What's the highest hole number that you've seen so far that we're in the sequence on with drilling?
Oh, I think right now, like in the LP, we're up around 400, 410. I think
Yeah.
we're getting in that range now, just on the LP. That doesn't include the hinge and the limb.
But that doesn't mean we've drilled 410 holes. Right?
No, it's a sequencing thing. So with so many rigs, there's 6 drill rigs, so you can't just keep sequentially having every drill follow a number one after 1, 2, 3, 4. We kind of give a set of 10 to every rig, and as they complete their 10, they get another sequence. So they could go from, say, 350, and by the time they get 10 holes complete, they could be up at 420 to start.
Yeah.
Just because you have so many rigs bouncing around with numbers, and it's easier for us to coordinate with the drillers and the geologists, things like that.
Oh, that's good. Like, we talked a lot about the project over years. Like, we've known each other for years now.
Yeah.
So, and I got to say, like, we're very grateful for the work that you and the Rumini staff have done. It's been incredible over this time frame. And so, on that note, Rick, you were telling me kind of a funny story just when I got here about a week ago. And it was about a tour that you put through the project like over a year ago now. And it was a bunch of geos from the Red Lake area looking at our LP rocks for the first time. So how did that go when people were looking at this discovery for that first time?
Well, it was interesting because you have so many different people from different experiences and walks of life, and they all come together at Red Lake Gold Mines, and that's kind of what they know at this point in time, and some other juniors. But we did a little open house just in the courtyard, just with some released drill holes, just to display and have a talk with some of the other geologists and try to like pick their brain.
Yeah.
And they all kind of like hovered over the core and looked at all these felsic rocks and intrusive rocks, and nobody had ever seen anything similar to this in the Red Lake Belt. And and even at that point in time, we were still learning about it and trying to understand what the driving factors were for the gold. And we had a pretty good handle on what the grade was and what it was in and things like that, but trying to have comparables in the Red Lake Belt, it was hard. It was everybody was kind of scratching their heads and everybody had their own opinions.
Yeah.
But in the end, and it is what it is, and we just try to build a story with more information and more data, and that's what's been great with Great Bear is like between yourself and Bob and Andrea, you've been very supportive to give us the tools needed to do great exploration and have all the science behind us to push this thing forward and have a very confident model to share with others.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, were there any real surprises? Like when you first looked at the core from the Dixie limb zone, the hinge zone, and then the LP fault zone, I mean, how did you feel? Like if you compare the zones together and you compare that LP discovery?
Yeah, I think early on, of course, the limb zone and the hinge zone in the first year in 2018, we drilled a lot there. It was like LP was, we did a couple of holes, but they were just kind of regional theory kind of ideas, and we were just popping a few holes, and we never really came up with much at that point in time. But the LP the limb and the hinge certainly reminded me a lot of the Red Lake Belt, like typical bomber-like basalts. Similar chemistries, quartz veins with gold, that kind of thing, which is what you see up in Red Lake often. But what struck me was when we started getting into the LP, the magnitude of the gold mineralizations, like front to back, and the width of these zones. Not only is it like a lot of gold grade throughout, but distinct high-grade pockets within a broad low grade.
Yeah.
And then identifying those grades with certain stratigraphies and structural controls. That's where we started, like the light started coming on, thinking like, wow. And then stepping out and stepping out and stepping out, and even checking old holes from historic drilling.
Yeah.
And finding gold in those. That was
Yeah.
that was a big moment.
Yeah.
And it certainly helped us continue to look beyond that little window of the first few drill holes.
That's right. And now we are 2 years after the LP fault discovery.
Pretty much.
And I think we're at about 320 holes, 318, 320 holes published.
Yeah.
You can really see that fill in. Right?
Yeah.
The picture is really filling in.
The story's really come together, and it's really filling out nicely and taking shape. We have a lot of confidence.